So another cool new insight that I was talking about or thinking about actually right now is that the way people price stuff and the way people perceive and make a purchase decision, like a consumer making a purchase decision based on the price, actually has a lot to do with the amount of work and value that the person is selling puts okay how let me rephrase that. It has got to do a lot with the value that the person is getting. All right, number one, right? If you're buying something, let's say for 10,000 rupees, right? The perceived value needs to be, um, worth 10,000 for that person. That's number one. How do you do that, right? It's very easy to say, like, yeah, it should be worth 10,000, it should be worth. How do you do that, right? Companies need to put themselves out there, all right, and need to design the communication for their target audience or their ideal customer or a customer in general, make it look and feel that this is worth 10 grand. Now that's one part of the equation. The other parts, if you are able to successfully design a really good communication, whether it's on your Amazon, what do they call Amazon A-list, A plus content page, that is one step. The other steps are social proofing, right? So testimonials is one. Second is user generated content is going to become very important. UGC content is can further be beautificated into brands spending on UGC content versus people just who are early adopters into that particular product. Use it and then give their raw feedback, opinion, and review on the internet. All right, that's going to be very important. These are for high ticket products, right? So, like, let's say when you're buying, let's say, a 10,000 or 20,000 rupee microphone, there are microphones for 2,000 to 1,500 rupees also, right? And those would be impulse purchases depending on your um depending on your spending capacity and depending on your lifestyle. Certain price points for certain goods and services would be impulse purchases, right? I think products would be impulse. It would be impulse purchase. Example, a 200 rupee item for, let's say, someone earning between the 5 to 7 lakh rupee per annum range would be considered a impulse purchase. All right, with the impulse purchase, if they find some value, if they need to have some inherent like want and desire to it. It's not like just you can't just sell anything to anyone. So the price point can change depending on the economic level of that individual. Now, when you're looking at now a 10,000 rupee product, a little bit above now you're going above the impulse purchase. Let's say this is the graph, right? An impulse purchase line is here. Now you're going increasing a price. So this is price. This part of the graph is price, or this part, and the one over here on the bottom is price, and I would say, okay, we'll come to this variable later, but moment you go above the impulse purchase decision making barrier, going above, now you need to start doing some additional stuff. All right, any which is in the impulse purchase method also, you have to have designed it very well. You have to, there needs to be reviews and all of that jazz, but the decision making will be faster moment you go above, right? Now you have to do your product needs to be good. All right, people need to see some exceptional stuff about you. You will also win, and you can price higher if you're doing just that one thing. For example, if I'm buying a 10,000 rupee mic, I might as well buy it from a company like Rode or a Sennheiser or a Shure rather than a Digitech, right? This is a Digitech tripod. Okay. Now Digitech makes tripods, they make so many different products. They're like a conglomerate. Why would I buy a microphone from them? They're not specialized in it, right? This light right here is made by Godox, and they've just been doing lighting stuff, right? And for years, they have like years of like um, practice and knowledge. So I might as well buy it from them. Now, obviously, this mindset of buying from brands and buying from companies that just do one thing, that not a lot of people. Sometimes it comes subconsciously, but if you're new to buying stuff, you might just see a product. Oh, it solves my problem. Buy it. Right. Later, you might come to know that the product is shit. Happens. We've all been there. And the reason I'm talking about this is because the moment you go above the impulse purchase wala graph line curve, whatever you want to call it, you need to add in more effort. You would succeed. You will only succeed if you're doing just that one thing. All right, and you yet need to design communications in the best and perfect way. You need to have good UGC, and your product needs to be good. Your product is bad, sorry, it's not going to work out. Like, your product inherently needs to be good. It does not matter about everything else. So, like, if I were to rank it in hierarchy, product needs to be amazing. People need to talk about it. You need to communicate your value, and you need to be doing that one particular thing, or that one, you need to be focused on that one particular domain, or a niche of that domain, to charge a really high price. And forget the forget the talk about charging. People will want to buy stuff from you if you've been doing it for a very long time, and you do just that thing, and you do make cool shit, and you make good stuff. All right, people want to buy it from you. It's not about that you're charging. Like, I know if you're talking from a marketer or a business perspective about pricing, but people genuinely would want to buy a product or a service from a person or a company that has been doing that thing for a very long time, has built domain expertise, and now has people talking about how that product or service impacted their life, or how did they experience that, right? They're sharing their experience online. And though these are all the ingredients, what I think, these are all the ingredients that I think make a good and successful product. And I mean, it's not necessary, I don't want to call it that these are the reasons why a product is successful. This is just a perspective, economic perspective rather, a consumer behaviors perspective, when it comes to pricing and making purchase decisions online, right? If I were to, like, sell something online, and if I were to value it at 200 rupees, I am gonna I am not gonna put as much as I probably won't put as much as time as I would do for a 10,000 rupee course or an ad or a product. You get my point? Neither would you. I don't know. Probably you would put in all your time and effort, but might price it wrong. Which, what would happen is, if you don't price things right, people get the wrong perspective. They get the wrong idea that, is this an inferior product? I want to. People have this thing, right? And which is why you have a lot of people going to the US and UK to study, is because they have to spend a lot of money. The barrier is so tight, right? Because of the money barrier. Money is like the only barrier, right? To get access to certain things. I mean, you can always get access to certain things without money. Another topic, another day. But when you set the barrier so high, or so thick, to get access to something, you got to, like, people wanted to go to the US to study and stuff like that, and then they realize that, fucking hell, you can learn the same thing anywhere else. Matter of fact, this probably didn't help me achieve what I wanted to do in the first place. And my observation is that money sets a standard, right? Or, if I were to remove the word money, I would say barriers or obstruction. When you obstruct someone from getting something, when you make it hard to get, it sets a perspective and a standard that, hey, this is probably something that, it's hard to get. It's now it automatically becomes exclusive because not everyone wants to do hard stuff. and it's not easy for everyone to like pay money to get access to something, and hence, it's set at a different level. That product might be absolute shit, but because you cannot access that product firsthand. I'm not saying about anyone talking about it, and the spokesperson or the um, ads. I will call them ads because brands will pay money to get people to talk about them, and that's an ad. That's an ad, all right. So ignoring them, you actually don't have any first-hand experience to that product or service, and you won't know whether that's good or bad for you. So now you're left with only your judgments based on online resources and online opinions, and probably offline opinions if your friend is there. That's why referrals work a lot, right? Because someone tells you about something, you are very convinced to go and try it and do it. And that's the power of referrals. Like when it's word of mouth, because we are humans and humans love humans, we are more inclined to trust a human being in person. We're trying to replicate that on social media when people like influencers telling you that, hey, this is good, this is bad. Slightly working, it is working because again, human to human, but social media will not be able to beat a human actually physically in person telling you that this is something you should try, which is why word of mouth referrals is the most strongest. So yeah, I mean, just a perspective on pricing, marketing, consumer behavior, and I guess macro and microeconomic perspective on you know selling product or service to consumers at large. Bye bye. My name's Ian.